In our last video, we looked at Boolean expression. Yes, and I believe I was able to explain the Boolean expression very well. Okay, so in this video, what we are going to look at is the if statement, else, and then the switch statement too. And at what point do we have to use either if, switch, or else? Okay, so that's what we are going to do. And I believe in our previous video, we added the if statement and then the else in our code, and I said in this video I'll explain it. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to use the same code to explain the if and then else statement. Okay, so when you talk about the if statement, we are talking about a conditional statement. Okay, whatever is inside the if bracket here must be true. Okay, when I say it must be true, it's not necessarily that um the result coming out should be true. Okay, for example, we can decide to write our code like age is user age less than system age. So this one, the result we are expecting is yes, the user age must be less than system age. Okay, so it means that this condition must be true before we can execute the next line. Okay, so that's our condition. Okay, and if this condition is false, then it jumps to the else. So the else comes in whenever the condition here is false. So for example, let's run our code again, and then we are saying that if user age is less than system age, then we should allow the person to use our software. So let's type 10. Yes, because 10 is less than the 13 that we specify here as a system age. So it means that our condition here is true. It has satisfied our needs. Okay, so we can also change it to be like this or like this. So with this one, we are assuming that wherever the user will enter should be greater than the system age. So even if the person enter 13, still is not greater than the system age. It should return you are not old enough to use our system. So anytime you want to use the if you want to use the if statement, you begin with if in a lowercase. If you type in uppercase, it will give you an error. Okay, so if, then you bring your brackets, then you give it a bad. Okay, so with this one we can have multiple lines of code in our body. Okay, so now, and here is our condition or the expression that we are going to state. So this is our expression here, the Boolean expression. We can declare a variable for this. Bool, let's say results equal this, then we terminate it, then can pass it here, and it will work. Okay, so but for us to save memory and also save ourselves a time, we can copy this one and then place it here. Okay, yes, so this is the structure of the if statement in C++. So let's look at the else. Okay, so we are assuming that when the user tries to create an account and we ask the user to enter his age or his date of birth, the person's age or date of birth is not greater than the system age here. So what are we going to do? At least you have to display a message to the person that maybe due to this you don't qualify to use our system, so you can wait or you can come back maybe next year or next 2 years depending on the person's age. Okay, so with this we can bring the else here as I've explained earlier. Okay, so with this if and else, we can execute our condition or our Boolean expression here. Okay, so we can also write as many as we want. So let's add end line here, and then okay, so let's run our code again, and then let's type 40. Yes, so we've realized that we've been able to add so many lines, but these lines of code will run if and only this Boolean expression is true. So that's the if statement, the if and else statement in our condition, yeah, in C++. Okay, so we have one called if else. Okay, so if else, we are saying that if the condition here is false, we are giving it another shot. Check if user age equal, let's say 13. Okay, else, so let's bring it here. Okay, and then let's have this one here. Okay, okay, so we are saying that, okay, fine, if this one is false, the user age is not greater than system age, then let's check if the user age equals 30, and then you've realized that we've used double equal to sign here. Okay, so with the double equal to sign here, it means that we are comparing both left and then right. Okay, so now let's run our code and then see the output. So let's enter 13, and it says congrats, you've qualified, but it didn't add the hello. Okay, so it means that the first condition here was false, and then we check the second condition here is true, then it runs congrats, you've qualified. Then we ended our code. Okay, so now let's run our code again, and then let's type 12. Okay, now let's check. The first condition was false. Okay, let's give it another chance. The second condition here was false. So now let's run the else. Okay, and one of the advantage of using the if and else condition is you can add the or logic here. So we can have two if or two Boolean condition here or expression here. So we can say that, okay, fine. If user age is greater than system age, or if user age is this 13, then we don't need to add this code to it. Okay, so we are comparing the two. So first it will check, okay, is user age greater than system age? No. Okay, they said another chance again. Is user age equal 13? Then we should allow the person to use our system. So let's run our code and let's enter 13, and then let's see the output. So with 13, it says congrats. Okay, but let's enter 12. It says we are not old enough to use the software. So let's enter 15, the same congrats. So it means that with the or, this one is called or. So to use the two vertical, okay. So now we have or here, but let's look at a situation whereby we want both sides here to be true. So we can use the and. Okay, so these two, the ampersand sign here, will just compare the two. So until the two here is satisfied, there's no way that it will run this. So let's run our code. Okay, so let's type, oh, sorry, let's type 13. And he said we are not old enough because 13 is not greater than this. I hope you get the logic here. With the end here, both sides must be true before the whole condition becomes true. Okay, so with this, unless we make it this way, let's say 14. Okay, so once you make it 14, we know that the system age is 13. So 14 is greater than this. So let's type 14 here, and it says yes, if qualified. So let me give you in real life example. Let's say you've been sent to go and buy something um from the market, and the person will just tell you that, okay, I need two things. I can't use one. I need the two. Okay, so when you go and then you get the two, then buy the two. If not, even if you go and then you see one, don't buy because I can't use the one that you are going to buy. I need the two. So that's the real life example of the if else and then the or and then the end in C++. So in our in our next step, we are going to look at the switch. So when you talk about the switch, you are going to do the same thing. The switch, we call the switch keyword, and then you state your condition. Okay, so when you state your condition, then you have to tell them what cases you want to use, and each of the cases must have a break. So now what we are going to do is we are going to pass the user age. Okay, so if user age is 13 and then case 14, let's say 12, then let's break it. Okay, else then let's hover on it and then see. Okay, so with this, when you are using the case, you have to guess everything. Okay, you have to guess maybe if the user age is 13, 12, 11, or maybe you are just targeting only two ages. That's 13 and then 12. Okay, so if the user age is 13, then we terminate our code. Then we say you've qualified. So let's give it congrats. Okay, let's copy the same code and then paste it. Okay, so congrats. Okay, so what if the user age is not within the cases? Then we have to provide the default. The default is more like else. Okay, so default is more like else. Then we tell the person you are not old enough. Okay, so now let's run our code. Okay, and then let's enter 13. It says congrats. Okay, so let's run our code again, then let's enter 10. It says you are not old enough. Yes, so now you will decide what kind of the conditional statements you want to use, whether you want to use the if else or you want to use the switch. And as time goes on, I will explain um a case where you are supposed to use switch, and then a case where you're supposed to use if and then else. And as I said earlier, if you continue practicing it, you also come up with your own rules. Okay, So the question I'm going to ask you is if and else and then switch, which one do you think is good to use? Okay, so that's the question I want to ask you. But you can't just tell me the answer unless you start practicing and then you come up with a situation where um you'll be forced to use the switch or you'll be forced to use the if statement. In case you have any questions, you can leave it at the comment section and then respond to it. And please, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please kindly subscribe to our channel. Okay, and then also if you have any suggestions, use the channel email address to reach out to us. See you in the next video. Bye bye.